Papa Carlo is back. Thank you. It's been some time. My crowd is here, I have to pause it. We have Carlos back, so welcome to the Two Shop Talk, and today we will talk about topic that we have talked before. It was topic about health, what's the dangers of tattooing, so how it can affect your well-being, your health, what's our experiences and our ideas and suggestions that helped us, and maybe it will help you. So let's start with the obvious. The first one for tattooists, the biggest problem is back to back. Like, we tried to film this episode once and we had some logistic issues with memory space, and we had a half of it. Carlos mentioned that nobody really talks about it, but once you start to talk about it, everyone is like, oh yeah, I have the same issue. When I started tattooing, everything was all butterflies, and then after a few years I started to complaining that I have this tickling going down from my upper leg to a toe. And I started telling other tattooers that I have this situation going on, like tickling, and it's like almost like electricity going through your muscles. Everyone's like, oh yeah, I have the same, yeah. 20 years ago I experienced that, and it's your back, it's definitely your back. And I'm like, why no one's talking about it? Not only the back, but I recently talked with a dude. I was like, my arms are feeling funky. I was working a lot, and then it was... Also, we have a little garden, so I was doing all the drilling and whatnot, and I was waking up with my hands like that, and I spoke to other dude. He's like, oh yeah, like this finger is numb, and then my colleague have issue with elbow and whatnot, and I was like, oh, we are all in that department. Yeah, and it turns out it's not only tattooing, it's like everyone who turns 30 starts to have some back problems. There is many things that you can change about it. One is exercises. I follow some comics artists on YouTube, and they all talk about stretching every hour. If you draw for more than an hour, it's good to stretch out. They have some special gear for that, and if you go and work out 3 times a week, 2 times a week, it should help you. So not only tattooing, it's any job that is like in those one type positions. I even seen people on forums suggesting putting rubber band around your fingers and just expanding it. And this is for elbow? This is for those carpal whatnot thingies. Yeah, elbows, fingers. Everyone's talking about these days that the vibration is a bad thing, you know, when you have a machine vibrating too much, and if you're tattooing for 10 more years, it might start to affect your bones and these small details in your bones. Yeah. Well, let's start with back, and with obvious, like you said, it's exercises, and also notice that during lockdown there's all those fitness and yoga savvy people. They were doing these like what it's called, like even trainings on YouTube that there's specific yoga for tattooists and yoga for piercers and whatnot. So people who work in that field have figured it out. So exercise is good, and you don't want to do crazy exercise, just stretching. There's a bunch of videos. I think stretching helps strengthening your deeper muscle, the core muscle, so we call it. And stretching is helping, and this yoga helps. I have colleagues in my shop where I work. They also do yoga, and they say it helps. I mean, for me, I'm a tall guy, I feel much more pressure on my back, and I know some tall guys always have... You need big room for yoga? Yeah, the workout is one thing. It always is good for you, even if you're doing nothing for your life. But the other thing is to set up your station properly. So that would be gear, yeah? Yeah, that's the gear thing. Chairs. Your chair, client's chair, station. Sometimes we want to not waste too much time on setting up the station, like you maybe in a hurry. You have like 2-3 customers a day, and you run through them. Actually taking extra 5 minutes to set up properly your chair, lower, higher, maybe the bench, you know, you set up properly. That all helps. And put the station on the correct side so you don't have to... Yeah, exactly. And one thing that helped me a lot for my back, not use pedal anymore. That was a big thing. When you just switch the pedal on. You just tap it and it's on, and you tap it and it's off. I also started to do that since I got that wireless thing, because it was super handy. I was surprised how much longer I can tattoo without complaining to myself. Yeah, man, it's crazy how you feel the difference. And I just tap it, and one bad thing about it is that if your machines are super hard, they spit ink all over the place. It's like, my colleague has that. I mean, he's used to working like that. After every session, there's like ink everywhere, man. He's just cleaning the floors and everything. For me, it's different. My machine works differently, and I'm really happy how that way works for me.
I got the done Cuban. It's a tricky to get it right. So if you don't get it right and it's spitting, it's like airbrush. You dip it in. Once you get to the customer, it's like there's no ink left. So you have to do all those micro adjustments. But yeah, I'm figuring it out. And
Yeah.
you tried it now, batteries.
Batteries.
Like I like the Packer one and the new spacious looking thing. It's a tricky product, but it gives you a taste of what's the option working without cable, and that's just interesting that it's not in a way you don't have to always do the cabling, and the cable is not all over your customer.
For me, I loved it. I just know that like as every new tool you start use, you have to get used to it, and for me it felt like I needs at least a week for me to get used
And
to
it's
that
also a bit of investment, so
yeah, it is a little expensive. But if you buy cables once a year, last 3 years I bought like 3 cables for my Z rotary machine because they all break down.
The funny part with the wireless machines is that they called like wands, the bishop ones, so you feel like a fairy because customer comes in, you're like just walk in the shop, hey, what can I do for you?
It's amazing. I think for guest artists it's cool stuff when you can travel with with less gear with you.
Yeah, you have a charger, 2 batteries, and a bunch of disposable.
It's almost like a hand poke feel, there. Totally old school, new school.
But speaking of gear, also like we talk vibration, but I don't think it's issued that much because not that many people use just metal on metal things, or at least they put some softer things on it. Many use the disposable ones, but
they also give less vibration, I think.
Yeah, but them who use metal, they often put extra paper towel or that silicone stuff. People have figured out. I think also back in the days when there was those super skinny grips that you have to hold, like I don't know what, and then it's plain metal, and probably your armrest is just a wood wrapped.
But I guess if you work for 20 years, and I mean, I don't know what's the issue after 20 years of tattooing, but it might get worse. When I do like big pieces for all day and I have this vibration after work, I feel my hand is a weird numb, my fingertips are numb.
But that's I think just from pressing on the thing and holding it.
I don't think so. Like for me, I'm like always gripping with full hand.
I don't know, I thought it's like, oh, I've been holding it for so long that it's
no,
like...
you could feel the vibration is a little irritating. Man, I have no issues right now with my hands, so hard to say. I've heard from the old school guys, and maybe that's the issue for them, that all the grips were metal and super thin like a pencil.
Plus, we talked with one colleague, he said that at the moment we have nothing to complain about, because back in the days you were sitting on a box and tattooing guy who's standing up.
Man.
So now we have all the beds and all that. Other thing is that we don't use them, because like Carlos mentioned, maybe you are too in hurry or too lazy to lift it, adjust it, or maybe take a break in the mid-session to change some positions.
A few years ago I bought this cool chair that a little bit looks like a saddle for horses. I've heard some funny stories about my chair, that your ball sack is in pain after. But man, I can tell you that my colleague bought the same kind of shaped chair, and it was different brand, and it was totally much different, the sitting part. It was not so fluffy like mine. I don't know how you say it. It was puffy, yeah. Mine is like better quality. So his chair was actually, you could see that it's cheaper. For that chair, I would think that your balls would hurt. The chair I have, I've never had issues. I just know that again, I had to get used to it. Man, my back also feels much better when you're holding yourself up. You don't have any place to relax your back.
Lazy.
I mean, your muscles has to work for that for a few weeks probably, but after that, it's much easier.
Also, I've swapped one chair's wheels to those rollerblade wheels, and they're a bit higher. Not a bit, but you feel it's those extra 1-2 centimeters. The good stuff is, which is also a bad stuff, that it rolls like crazy, because if you have a bad chair with bad wheels, then it's better to have chair without wheels, because when you start to do all this and it's not rolling and there's a sand grain in a way and you're like, this would roll over, like, I don't know, over people. It would roll over cables.
Yeah, it's slowly fading away.
Yeah. The downside is that sometimes you don't need it. You stand up, you push it a bit off, it bounces off something and it's back. It's like my colleague said, it's like a puppy running around in a shop.
Mm-hmm.
It's way more comfortable and it almost feels illegal that other chairs don't have those wheels by default.
My chair has really good wheels as well. They are cool ones, yeah. They're not running around like your chair.
No, but often you have that chair that is cool for 1 month and then it's all that.
Yeah. But that's why you need to actually not try to save too much money on a chair as well. Like, and after using this chair that I have in a shop where I work in Latvia, I can't sit on flat chairs anymore. I feel like it's completely terrible for my back. Yeah.
Don't remember what was it exactly, but I saw one, like it was some video making YouTuber. He was showing a chair. The back bit was almost like a T shape, and he somehow turned it sideways and he sat with the thing there, but he rested like this on it, and I was like, oh, that would totally make sense. And I think one of the big brand companies, like you can buy them for specifically for tattooing, but it's basically a desk chair, but it has that super ergonomic thing where you can sit any way possible on it, and
that's cool.
It would totally make sense that you can like rest those parts.
Yeah, sometimes it's cool. Like you have this big armrest.
Oh, the Russian armrest.
Sometimes it's a little bit struggling because it's really wide. If a customer has this area where you have to tattoo on that side of it, you have to like go all over, and it's a little bit
if
hard.
I would buy now, I would buy the same width, but there's one a bit shorter because it's rarely used all of it. It's nice that you have it, but also considering that I don't have infinite space in the shop, one shorter would be nicer to have.
Yeah.
And they also have regular size, and I think they go as high because they go pretty high. Because you can, I have one armrest which is cool, but once you need to lift it up, that's the stick ends, and you're like, oh, okay. And also the client chair. Like now you work with the tall bed, and
oh, that bed is my dream bed, man. With the joystick goes up and down. You can go as high as the
I think it's
rooftop. That's the best thing for like tall people, I think. And when I want to do back pieces and stuff, I'm like standing on my legs, not using a chair. The bed is super high, and it's just so easy, man. It's so much easier to do your work for 3 hours easily.
Yeah, and that bed, it's not like it's a bed by tattoo manufacturer. I bought it off some other tattoo shop, and it was just custom made frame which goes up and down, and then they screwed on top just a regular massage bed with that lifty part. So I think that would be a cool idea to manufacture something like that and sell worldwide. Is kind of crazy. It would cost you a kidney. But if you could have some local handyman make that stuff and then just have a frame that goes up and down and then screw any bed.
I had a friend who have a company who makes these tables with electric legs, or what do you call it. The issue is that how much
weight they can handle and which way. So but if it's strong enough, that could be an option to screw a massage bed on the top of an electric table.
I'm definitely gonna work on this to find out what I have to.
And also I just got the bit better one of those folding chairs, and it goes pretty high up. I've just got it, so I have to figure out if it works or not.
I've seen it, many shops using it, they work well. As every new thing you buy, it's like you give it time to get used to it.
But that's gear. But let's get back to simple things. Gear it matters. Obviously you don't want to save too much on it, because like there's some maybe things that are maybe overpriced, but you pay what you get. Gear, you have to use it properly, because you can buy the most expensive table and not use it and not move it and all that, so you have to use it. What I liked, what you mentioned, and I've read on some forums a lot about it, a wallet. Don't keep wallet in your back pocket.
Yeah, that's a big issue. These guys with wallets and chains I had one and it was terrible. I screwed my back probably because of the wallet mostly. I was using that wallet in my backpack for like at least 6 years.
Even if you have it in the front pocket with some super skinny jeans,
Yeah.
that's not a help.
And stop wearing skinny jeans as well. That might fuck your back up. No skinny jeans, man. It's 2022.
Stuff what's in the way. You have a phone, you have a wallet and all that, so if it affects your posture, that would be something to keep in mind. The same if you use a pedal, where do you keep that pedal? Because if you just have it just here, it's fine, but sometimes you catch yourself that you are
Yeah.
doing the Street Fighter move.
Karate move. Keep the table close to you. Don't try to
I mean,
dip the ink that far.
it's a bit of yoga as well, but sometimes I noticed I sit with customer like that, and after half an hour I'm sitting like this and I'm doing some weird stuff like that, and it's only because I'm too lazy to take a break, move stuff around, put that there,
But
maybe move cable out of the way.
I think it's not an issue if you change all the time the positions. The problem is when you stick with one position for too long. Actually, if you turn other way for 5 minutes and turn back, it's better than if you turn like this and stay like that for like half an hour.
Usually it's not that. Usually you're just doing some weird shit like.
Yeah. When you tattoo at some point, you don't think about all these things. And
Also,
it's good to pay attention to that.
Lights. In the main tattoo area got lights off the floor. So I have one area where it's two like bright widespread lights and another where I have that wall mounted arm and I can move it around, and I have to remember to move it around because sometimes again it's bright enough but it's from the wrong side, so you cast shadow or customer cast shadow or your hat casts shadow and you end up doing all this stuff. And that's not good, and that's not good for you, and that's not good for tattoo. And
But again, like you can actually, the lights does not cost much. Till this day I haven't bought cool lights. I just stick with what I have in the shop, and you get used to it really quick. But when for example, when I came to your shop, from the first day it was like, oh, that's what it is when you have good lights, It's annoying that someone has to remind you about it. Otherwise you just, if you get used to it, you just go for it. Which is not a bad thing, but someday it can be too late.
yeah, so gear, how you use the gear, health. We talked like all the stretching, fitness and all that, but also you don't want to be too unhealthy on eating, because like you read on some forums where you're like, oh, I have to take a shit every fucking half an hour. It's like, yeah.
Oh yeah, well then we can go to all kinds of stuff. So.
There was one gentleman where he was like, he was a bigger guy, and his issue was like chairs like breaking and not handling his weight and all that.
What?
So that's again, it's like, if it gets in the way in that matter that you have to look for industrial type of furniture, then so I think you don't want to be incapable in that matter that you are like too big or too whatever. I don't know, like you can't say that, but if you're too big that you can't work, Like if we're speaking of health and diet, is also like people feel uncomfortable working because they have like, I don't know, they burping, they have to shit every 20 minutes, like they smell like fucking. So that would be also something to remember. And since face masks, you also kind of more realize how much breath can be issued, not only the customer's breath but your breath. So a little tip is to have chewing gums around, because that garlic pizza at the lunch can be.
Yeah, when you have a mask, you feel it. Is it something to do with like work injury? You get a little bit depressed by doing.
You get irritated. You get irritated,
Yeah, cool.
A little bonus tip here: have a chewing gum around. I think
neck. I think people used to go like this down, and you have to kind of you have to get used to it. I think that's why it's good to do simple tattoos, like simple old school. Then you don't have to go really close and do the small details.
But then again, it's how you use your gear. Because if you have a customer here, you are more or less that. But if you have a bed here and you're standing up and your station is up here, it's a bit different story.
Yep.
Oh, that massage gun.
Oh, the massage gun. Yeah. You have a massage gun.
Consult doctor before you mess your back up with it. But I think it's cool for tight muscles, but if you have some issues, I don't think you want to use it. But it's pretty popular
I
on
tried
everyone's Instagram.
I tried it. I liked it. You have your personal massagist at home. I think if you do a proper like research and you really want to try to get better with your back, with your neck, with your whatever it is that's hurting from your job, I think there's so many options to
Visit a
improve.
physio person.
That's the best.
I had a massage from a physio person, and also then they can give you some tips on how to stretch, on which they can see which muscle groups are tight. They can give you exercises which will loosen them up, stretching they know what they're doing. I don't know. I know that you can ask a physio person who would fix you and will recommend things to keep you fixed for a longer time.
And it's not always about heavy weights that I wanted to say. Even like these comics artists and whatnot, like they don't lift heavy weights, they just stretch a lot. So whatever you do to strengthen your muscles, it's gonna help you, and it's a big thing. And
Like bouldering.
even that, like whatever it is, even like running for, I think even running for 10 kilometers, for 10 minutes, 10 kilometers.
Just run a marathon a week. And
10 minutes every day, it would help a lot. So yeah, I mean, I'm not a doctor or whatever, but that shit is for real.
Run to work if you have a shower.
Or after work, to the bar. I used to do that when I was a dishwasher.
That comes to mental health, you know. You have to let your steam off, so bar, you know.
Mental health is a big issue in tattooing. I think we talked about this like 6 years ago when we just started Tattoo Shop Talk.
Yeah, I mean, now on many forums when you read, you're like, Jesus. And I think the lockdowns didn't help, but people are flipping out left and right.
Is that why?
It's just people, but you know, they don't have their things sorted, so they would flip out on forums. I don't know. Maybe somebody goes home and flip out on their family, and somebody does nothing, and then they close the shop or close themselves, you know.
We have to like open a new episode now, talk only about mental health.
No, we definitely shouldn't do that. Like, this is not a mental health advice. We are incapable. We are incapable to understand that topic.
Yep.
But we know that it's out there and it's important.
Yeah.
I think let's wrap it up on this note, no?
Yes.
If you have some tips, tricks, what's important in your work to maintain your body as your temple, and a good temple, or your head as somewhat okay temple, then let us know in a comment section. Subscribe to Carlos' channel. Press like on this one. If you didn't like the episode, then press the dislike button twice. Still press subscribe button and leave a bad comment.
Yeah. And whatever comments you have, I love to read them, even if I dislike them.
Every interaction is interaction. Thank you for watching. This was Carlos. This was myself. See you next episode. Bye. Peace out.
Tattoo Shop Talk. God damn it.